This video is a prologue to a video series about Klavigar Nadox. Despite not having an SCP file, we reached for the lore keeper of Alexandria Library. He gave us some insights about Nadox's origin and life events. This video will discuss these insights, but details regarding major events of Nadox's life will be redacted and discussed in detail in separate videos. Nadox is an antagonist in the SCP Foundation mythos. He is one of the 4 Klavigar of Sarkicism, the most holy saints of the faith, being only outranked by the Grand Karcist himself. Nadox is usually associated with intelligence, wisdom, perception, and mysteries. Nadox plays the role of a supporting antagonist in the Memoria, Adytum canon. Nadox was once a sage living in the most southern regions of the Div Empire and was known to preach about a philosophy of peace and equality, which made him popular among the impoverished and powerless slaves, but despised by the Div elite, who planned to punish him. He was captured and publicly tortured, and stoned by hundreds of the same impoverished he had tried to help, before a Diva priestess cut off his tongue, sewed his mouth shut and had him castrated. Instead of killing him, he was marked by having a symbol carved in his forehead designating him as a sufferer. This designation meant that people had to always torment him, but never kill, in order to prolong his shame and suffering. With this, Nadox became a pariah, who wandered the lands, but who was always denied refuge and safe passage, and always attacked by the very same people he wanted to help. One night he suffered a fever dream, in which he saw a messianic entity, who will be the savior of him and humanity as a whole from an existence of suffering and tears. This entity would be Grand Karcist Ion, and Nadox started to travel north in order to find him. Eventually he joined the Grand Karcist's cause and became the first of his 4 entrusted followers, the Klavigar, being blessed with supernatural abilities and seen as a saint for generations to come. Nadox would also take under his wing Karcist Yog-Sothoth ban. As Ion and his Klavigar began spreading their religion worldwide, they faced the Mekhanites, and soon a war started between the 2 factions. It is unknown what role Nadox served during the war, but was eventually defeated along with his fellow Sarkites after Ion was banished. Following the end of the war and the late Bronze Age collapse, Nadox, Lovitar and Sarn waited for Ion's return, but as years passed only Nadox was left, forcing him to wander through land and seek of knowledge in order to prevent the old god Nyarlathotep from freeing himself and destroy humanity. While traveling through the desert, Nadox encountered a Mechanite named Derived. Nadox also played a part in SCP-7115. In Memoria, Adytum, he tried to resurrect Grand Karcist Ion. As a Klavigar, Nadox was granted by Ion great power over flesh. He grew multiple arms with eyes, became biologically immortal, and could shape his body to various extents, even being able to become a Kirok. Nadox also appeared to be a master of illusions, possibly being capable of inducing hallucinations to his victims. Although he gained the power to manipulate his own body, Nadox remained unable to speak through his mouth, using a form of telepathy to communicate with the organic brains of others. Even before gaining his powers, Nadox was extremely intelligent, being on par with Ion himself. Nadox was shown wearing red and gold attire, his head covered with bandages or caged within a punitive mask, although sometimes his head would be replaced with hands. After obtaining his flesh powers from Ion, he is seen possessing multiple arms with eyes in the palms of his hands. Dr. Lawrence Blackett described Nadox as an enormous shifting mass of muscle and sinew, being made up of undulating ribbons of flesh moving in an amorphous manner, and possessing uncountable hands, eyes, and mouths. Out of the 4 Klavigar, he is presumably the most human, as he embodies a philosophy of equality, justice, and wisdom. He, just like his fellow Klavigar, was extremely loyal to Ion, shared a deep bond between all 5 of them, and would do anything to execute every wish of Ion. Nadox also appeared to have a hatred against tyrants, and looked after the weak and the oppressed. He is also seemingly one of the most tolerant of the group, as he eventually formed some sort of friendship with Derived, a Mechanite, during one of his travels. Despite this, he is still considered a dangerous being in the anomalous world, mostly because of his loyalty to the Grand Karcist, whose cause is dangerous to the current world order.